This video is sponsored by headphones.com.
Okay, I don't know that I can even describe what I just saw, but I mean I'll do my best. Um okay, so I got to test the headset, and I want to preface this by saying I'm doing my best to recall what it is that I just experienced. I'm just going to be right up front with you. It was pretty incredible. It was absolutely insane. And I just want to start off, for those of you who are making initial comparisons to other headsets out there, most notably the Meta Quest 2, which is actually the only other headset that I've used. This is not that in any way, shape, or form. Maybe you might notice some similarities, but this is not even close. It's not even remotely close to what you're going to experience if and when you ever try on an Apple Vision Pro. I have some notes here, so apologies if I look at my phone, but I just need to be able to remember, because you're so immersed in what you're doing that my brain just shut off and I wasn't even remotely trying to comprehend, or I was just consuming and just being in the moment. And then, so I didn't write any notes down, obviously. So I'm trying my best to recall what it is that I've done. So I'm going to take you through each and every experience that I personally had. And then I asked some questions, or I asked a question on Twitter, and you all responded with a bunch of questions asking me. So I will do my best to answer some of those, but I'm guessing I'm going to answer a lot of it along the way. But I'll leave timestamps if it's possible. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. So the first thing you do is you just get set up. And the experience is basically you take your phone, you scan like you're doing Face ID. It scans your face, and also you do a little eye test. For me, I don't wear glasses or anything, so I didn't really have to do much. But if you wear glasses or if you have contacts, that's going to be a different setup process. So it was a little bit different for me. Mine was pretty simple. I don't need any assistance with my eyes, thankfully, so I was able to just kind of move past that, scan my face, do a spatial audio test as well, and then Apple did its best to find the appropriate size inserts and everything that would give me the best fit. Now, I want to say it tried its best because it's still pre-production, and so not all of the sizes and inserts were available, and so I wasn't going to get the perfect tailored fit that you might get when you purchase your own. So you put the headset on, you mess around with the digital crown. That's kind of like your immersiveness button, and also your way of going back to the home screen or bringing up your home view. And so you kind of use it. Twisting the dial, turning the dial will, enhance the immersion experience, or, take it down a notch if you need to. But when you press it in, that brings up your home view. And then there's a couple of other gestures there that will help you out. And then there's another button that's strictly used for capturing photos and video, which I actually did not do. But that is what the other button is on the left-hand side. And I guess now's a good time to really just talk about comfort and fit for me. And again, I did mention that it's not 100% tailored to me because of the lack of, different sizes and inserts that they had to be able to make it match. But it was pretty close. I did have to tighten the knob here on the side to get the back band, like the main band, tight enough around my face. And then a lot of people probably didn't know this just by looking at some of the press images, but there is another band that goes above you, and you don't have to use that. This is a modular system. I do think most people might want to use that, but there is another band that goes over top of your head. So there's one around the back, and then there's one over top. And that's what I did have. And I think most importantly, I want to stress that the fit was, it was very comfortable. I didn't have any problems. Yes, it's a little heavy. It is made of metal. It is also got a lot of glass. There's a lot of heavy premium materials involved. And so without the battery inside, you would think that it would be very light, but because of the other materials and things that Apple used, it makes plenty of sense as to why Apple did not include the battery, because then it would just be incredibly heavy. I feel like it's not that far off from other headsets in terms of weight, but it does a really good job of dispersing that weight and making it not so front heavy, which is what a lot of other headsets are. They are front heavy. This is a little bit heavy in the front, but it's not like it's perfectly like dispersed around my head to make it much more comfortable. It also doesn't make you sick, or at least it didn't make me sick. And other headsets, after about maybe 10 to 15 minutes of use, makes me kind of sick. So that's one thing I do want to stress. I did not feel like I was honestly wearing a headset where I was immersed in another world when I was experiencing other things. And I did not get motion sickness or just feeling like I was going to get a headache. And I used the headset for about 30 to 40 minutes. So it's important to note that I didn't have any issues with that whatsoever. When you take off the headset, that's when you kind of notice that you do feel a little bit more comfortable, if that makes any sense. Like while you're wearing it, it's not a big deal in terms of comfort. I mean, you are wearing a piece of metal and glass on your face, and so yeah, it's going to feel like that, but you don't notice that while you're using it. It's just when you lift it off your head, you know, you feel like your face can breathe a little more. And by the way, speaking of like breathing and breathability, the materials used around your face, yes, like I said, when you lift it off, you do feel like you have more air and it's not as warm here, but it's not like warm and sweaty and gross like other headsets are for when I use them. So just wanted to stress that as well. It's super premium. I mean, it is a $3,500 headset. And so and it's also Apple. I just don't expect anything less from Apple in terms of build quality and its premium materials and the feeling. And so I do want to tell you that that is my experience in terms of fit and comfort. Other people's might be different, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so the first experience that I did was scrolling and getting used to like the tap gestures and kind of navigating throughout the Photos album. So we'll talk about the photos in a second, but let's talk about the gestures here. So basically, if you want to tap on something or select something per se, you just take your fingers and you do that. And you don't have to bring it in front of you, which is what everyone probably did when they first test the headset, is they want to do that, and myself included. But you could just keep your hands here. There's so many cameras all around you that you can put your hand over here, you can put it here, you can put it down, up in the sky, I don't know. But it works completely fine. So after a couple of tries, I did get a little bit more relaxed, and I can put it on my leg here and go ahead and select things. So that's selecting. And then if you want to like scroll, like swipe from side to side, you can pinch and then do this, and pinch and go this way. And then for scrolling, it's, vertical scroll. So pinch and hold up and scroll. And it's so intuitive that when I was getting the demo, I was trying to remain polite and let them explain, okay, you can move on to the next thing, or you can go ahead and swipe. But in my mind, after a couple of times, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I can swipe from here. Like, I got this. It's so intuitive that you already know what you're doing after about 30 seconds of trying it out for the first time. Also, the fact that it tracks your eyes and that's how you select something, or aside from tapping it, is insane. It absolutely does not miss when it comes to reading my eyes and tracking where I'm at and selecting content. It was, maybe I had a couple of different times where there were some hiccups, and it was mostly just like, I tapped it and then it went away on accident. I don't know. It's still pre-production, so just something to keep in mind there. But there were very small hiccups throughout the almost flawless. And so when it comes to looking at something and selecting an app or a photo or any part of the screen, it was 100% accurate, insanely fast. Scrolling was smooth. Like, it literally just felt like you were touching your iPad or a very large screen and swiping up. Refresh rate, again, I don't know what the refresh rate is. I don't have exact concrete specs besides what Apple said about the displays, and some things about the displays are wild. It's more than a 4K TV in basically each eye. It definitely looks like that. It is by far the best visual experience I have ever had on a headset. It's not even close to any of the ones that you're thinking of. So it's in another realm. And when you actually get the fit correct, because there are times where the headset started to slouch a little bit, and so I had to readjust, and then it just makes everything so much more crisp. And I didn't see or notice many, if any, pixels when looking at text. And when the fit is proper, it was crystal clear retina quality, as if you just had a giant display wrapped around your face made from Apple, who, in my opinion, makes incredible displays. So that is the headset, its fit, its comfort, and visually using the tracking and navigating throughout the UI is so seamless and flawless that it's insane. Because again, this is a whole new product for me personally, and obviously a whole new product for Apple. And so the fact that we're still months out from its actual mass production release, and it's this good already, I mean, that's where I'm speechless. This isn't an act. I'm genuinely speechless. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same way. And so if you're wondering, oh, why is everybody so positive? It's just something you have to experience for yourself. And I do hope a lot of people do that. So when I was doing the photos, they were so immersive. It was so incredibly detailed. And these are all photos that Apple explained to me was shot on iPhone. And so even panoramas were just unreal. It makes me want to go out and take a bunch of panoramas that I think would be amazing to look at in the headset, because it genuinely, you can expand it so that it comes all the way around you and just makes you feel like you're reliving that picture that you just took. Then we moved on to spatial photos and videos, which is, remember when I talked about that button, that is what's used to take the 3D kind of photos and videos. So this was content captured through that. And yeah, it's not, strange makes it seem negative, and I'm saying strange because it literally makes me feel like I was with these people, and that's what's strange. It makes me feel uncomfortable that I am watching a birthday party happen, and I'm not a part of this family. These are not my kids. So we saw a video of kids eating cake. It looked like I was eating cake right there with them. There was a video of the cake before it got, I don't know if it was the same family, but they were singing happy birthday. And then when someone blew the candles out, the smoke came into my face, and I legitimately thought the other person in the room with me like sprayed a mini fog machine in my face. It felt so real that I thought the smoke was on me. There's a phrase for this and what I was feeling, and I don't remember what it is, but it was mind-blowing. When it comes to multitasking, we put up a bunch of apps across my giant display, and so I believe I moved the photos off to the side. I then brought up messages, I put that off to this side, and then I put Safari right in front of me. And it's amazing. It's having larger than large full screen apps in front of me, 3 of them at a time, but like full size, like as if I took 3 big monitors and blew them up in front of me and put the full screen apps on each side. It was insane. You can be incredibly productive. I could understand why people would want to work in this and why this could be seen as a productivity tool. And I am personally excited to see what developers do with its third-party apps when it comes to this, because this is kind of the main focus, in my opinion. This is what makes me excited about using it as just a way of getting things done. And, it's like an extension of my phone and also my computer. Being able to edit video on it is something I can't fathom, but I'm looking forward to trying. And so when I was multitasking around, there was no issues whatsoever. Again, I had photos, Safari, and messages up all at the same time, and I didn't get a chance to type anything, and I didn't get a chance to use the voice. Those were 2 things I did not do, but I'd imagine that typing short little phrases is going to be fine. I would think that most people would either want to bring in an external keyboard when they're really trying to type out a lot of long form content. But between like the tapping and doing that on a keyboard and your voice, those are going to be your 2 primary input methods, and I think it'll be just fine when that happens. So from productivity and photos and video, it's amazing. I did experience some other types of entertainment when it comes to video. So I watched Avatar in 3D, and I never experienced Avatar 2 in 3D in like an IMAX 3D theater or whatever, so I don't know how this compares. And I haven't seen 3D content in forever, but it was pretty incredible. It was very immersive. The 3D didn't seem like a gimmick. It doesn't make you sick like you're wearing 3D glasses. It was mind-blowing. Again, I watched about 30 seconds, so I really can't formulate any other opinion besides I was incredibly amazed. This woman was on top of a giant mountain or a cliff, going from one side to another on a tightrope, and I legitimately felt worried for her that I was going to be messing her up and she would fall all the way down. That's how immersive it was. It was absolutely insane. I don't get scared of heights, but like you're looking down as if you're just hanging over this cliff. It was wild. And then my favorite thing, being a huge sports fan, is like getting a seat behind the basketball hoop and just seeing like NBA come at you in that. It's something I've never seen before. You can buy courtside seats and I'd still think this is better. I'm going to be quite honest with you. And then I saw that with soccer. You're like floating above the goal. You're right above the net and you're watching a soccer game. I am going a little bit out of order, but I did experience environments. So these environments were like Mount Hood, where I was fully immersed. Again, you can turn the digital crown Either way, clockwise or counterclockwise, to either turn up the immersiveness or down. I went full on, and it just like you look from one end to the other, and it's nothing but what you're encapsulated in. So in this case, it was just Mount Hood, and I just looked like I was out in this giant mountain by myself, and it was absolutely insane. And when I dialed it back, I had a little bit more of a field of view of like my surroundings, and you can just either take it completely out or put it back in full immersiveness. It was incredible. Also, speaking of like your surroundings, when I was in these environments and then one of the people that were in the room with me tried to like lean in and talk or say something, it automatically recognizes, and it's not like a weird, it just looks like it belongs. Like they're in my space with me for a minute. And then when they're done, they kind of just fade into the background. It's crazy how amazing that it like just is able to recognize there are other humans in the room. They're talking to you. Now they're not. They're leaving. You don't need this anymore. Let's get you back to what you're looking at. So that was crazy. And then another like immersive experience for entertainment was encountering dinosaurs. And so it started with like this opening in the wall, just like a hole in the wall. And all of a sudden, a giant dinosaur came at me. And this is when I actually stood up for the first time instead of being on the couch and moved around with it. And it did an insane job of helping me get through. Like that would never happen with a MetaQuest. I could not get up and walk around. I don't care how much pass-through we have or what I'm looking at around me. I would not feel comfortable being able to walk around my house or anything and not bump into things. And there was a table in front of me and some other things in the place, and I didn't bump into anything. I went to the wall that this dinosaur was coming out of, and it came up to me and was sniffing me, and I legitimately felt like I was going to pet it. It was insane. Like the tail whips around. I like kind of ducked to the side because I thought I was going to get hit. Like you feel like you're a part of these things. And I don't know if this is something that people are going to want to do all day, every day. I'm mostly thinking of like how it's going to be to watch a full movie, some TV shows, and do my work. And I can justify using that. The battery pack. So one thing I do want to note, the way it connects to the like temple area of your headset is it actually is a like turn and twist to take off. It's not magnetic. It locks in. So then that has a cable that runs to this battery pack. It's a pretty decent size, decently weighted battery. And it lasts about 2 hours. And then that has a USB-C port as well. So if you are doing something like watching a movie that's going to be more than 2 hours, you can plug in any kind of power-related accessory battery pack or plug it into the wall just via USB-C, and you'll have unlimited battery if you're plugged into the wall, or unlimited battery to the extent of however much you have in your external battery pack. A lot of other people ask me about the headset itself and the heat. Does it overheat? And again, I only had 30 to 40 minutes, but the only thing that was remotely warm on the headset was the area in which was like around my face, and that's from my body heat. The metal from the frame and the glass and the headset as a whole, as I took it off, felt cool to the touch still. Nothing felt warm. I didn't hear any fans, though there are fans in there. And there is a vent at the bottom, obviously, for the dissipation. The cooling was totally fine. So my guess here is that if Apple's able to use Apple Silicon and its power efficiency and its thermal, abilities on the Mac and keep that relatively cool for what it is and for how much power and energy it's using, this is at a little bit of a smaller scale compared to that. And so I'm going to guess that it probably doesn't get warm, nor will you ever hear the fans. At least during my test, I didn't hear any fans. I didn't even know there were any in there, but there are, and I didn't notice them. When it comes to AirPods and AirPods Pro, totally fine. That was actually in the keynote. You can, have AirPods Pro and it'll really add to the experience. People have asked me about AirPods Max. I don't know how that's going to work with the headset on because it might get in the way. And so that's something I'll have to try out whenever I get my own personal unit and let you know. But the sound quality just from the headset alone was absolutely incredible, which was mind-boggling to me. It had so much bass and immersion to it. I mean, the whole thing, the keyword, the buzzword, immersiveness, immersion, it was just all of that. And so, yeah, I mean, you really are not only visually, but audibly encapsulated in everything that you are watching and listening to. I did forget to mention, and I don't want to because it's insane, I did do a FaceTime call. I didn't get a chance to see a 3D render of me, but I saw a 3D render of the person that I was talking to. And it's a little funny. I didn't think I was talking to a real person just because of the way the demo went. I thought it was just something that, was pre-made and just... I was legitimately FaceTiming with a real person who had a 3D render. And so it was very awkward at first, but you kind of get used to it. It's not quite the same as seeing a real person, but it's pretty close, honestly. After a couple of, maybe 10 to 20 seconds of interacting with this person and getting over the fact that I'm talking to a 3D model, basically, I don't know, it felt pretty normal to me. And it sounded amazing. I moved the FaceTime call off to this side, and her voice got a lot louder and more spatially aware that it was off to my left. And so I was able to walk through a freeform app project. So the Freeform project. And there's also 3D like models that you could put into Freeform with the Apple Vision Pro. And so yeah, it was just a crazy experience. Collaboration is definitely something that you can do with this. And just the way we had a FaceTime call, if I look over, I can talk to her. We're walking through this project. I can see this 3D model and move it around. And it was just incredible. And honestly, that's where I'm going to end this video. Otherwise, it's going to be just way, way too long. It's already probably very long, but I don't know how to explain this without like just being in complete awe. It was amazing. I don't really throw that around all too much, but it was by far the most incredible experience I've ever had with something that is a pre-production unit, and even with something that is an AR, VR style headset, because I don't particularly like using those. And I could definitely see myself wanting to use this a lot more. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you have any questions, I will definitely try to help you out and answer the best I can. I'm sure I've missed something, but again, that's what the comments are for, or you can hit me up on Twitter at DanBarbera, and I will do my best to answer them.
Now, before we end today's video, I do want to let you know more about today's sponsor, headphones.com.
Headphones.com is a unique company absolutely committed to excellent audio and to giving people the best experience. They try everything and carry products that they really believe in, like the Focal Bathies. And obviously, Focal or Focal as a company really believes in Headphones.com because this is the only place that you can buy these headphones, at least in the US. Is your only place to pick up these headphones. They're luxurious, they're noise canceling, they're wireless, and they're great. You can also check out their online shop. There's a supportive community, a great customer service center, and in-depth reviews, along with a 365-day return policy. They really want you to be happy with your purchase, and so that's something you really can't take for granted. 365-day return policy is almost unheard of, and so that's something I really do appreciate. So go ahead and run over to headphones.com and be sure to click the link in the description for more information about the Focal Bathies, but also headphones.com. And yeah, tell them I sent you and let me know if you end up buying anything. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.